Raindrops on today's episode of Reality Crime Stories. Look, a crime has not been committed, but baby, one thing we know, you don't play with Candy Burris. All right. So who knows? Todd, be careful, child. So listen, we are here to talk about the legalities of what is going on with the latest divorce proceedings of Candy Burris and Todd Tucker. I'm back with my co-host Courtney Parker, and we have our special guest, the beautiful and very smart Judge Tierney. Because look, ladies, not only did she break down the child support situations going on in Georgia and helped you ladies keep your ladies close to married men, okay? I'm teasing.
Words into my mouth.
Those are my words, not yours. This is the Carlos King side that my raindrops want to see. But today, Courtney and I are here because look, our topic today is discussing the legalities of what's going on. Because in the latest documents, let me update the raindrops. You too, Judge Tyranny, Courtney, child. She is a book smart woman, so she already did her research. So let me update y'all very briefly on what has been going on with Candy and Todd to remind you guys. So once again, Candy Burris and her attorney in court documents are slamming Todd Tucker, calling him, they're not calling him this, but the headlines are calling him a guest house squatter. Okay? And this is why. In the court documents, Candy has said since she and Todd have separated that Todd's been living in her guest house in Atlanta, which she says is her own property purchased before the marriage. In the
Right.
documents, okay, Judge Tyranny, Candy said that Todd has not paid a single expense for the maintenance and upkeep of the home, to include utilities, gas, lawn care, water, pest control, or even fees associated with the alarm system. Now, look, I'm all about being a petty Betty, but when you in court documents, honey, are breaking down, you ain't even paying the bills. I usually see that. However, it's the ADT, honey. It is the pest control. She don't want no roaches or no rats in her house, child. No bugs, no bees, and no mosquitoes. Okay? She's saying Todd ain't even paying that, babe. And she's also saying that when it comes to the lawn care, babe, I don't know if there's weeds growing in the grass, child. The water is on. I don't know if they were like me growing up where the hot water got cut off because the water bill wasn't paid and you have to get the big pot, put the water in it, and boil it to get hot water. So all of this is being alleged. So my first question, Courtney, is to the judge.
The title of this episode: Squatters Support and Spill Tea.
let me help Tierney out. So
Okay.
how about this? How about this? How about this? People are calling Todd a squatter legally by him being married to his estranged wife. They're still legally married. They do have an active prenup. Um, are you considered a squatter if you are staying in your wife's home legally that she owns because it was purchased before the marriage?
Okay, let me piss off the raindrops off the rip. Okay, let me just go ahead and make them mad today. I know y'all are going to be looking for something that y'all are absolutely not going to get from me. Okay? They invited me. They know that I'm going to come over here and just legally educate you all.
Yes.
But I'm going to make y'all even madder today because I'm going to be fully transparent and tell you Candy is my girl.
Okay.
So, besides this being an open case, even if it was closed, there's no way I would speak on her personal relationship because I'm not that kind of friend. I got a code. Okay, so let's just get all this out the way. Raindrops, put your knives up. In the state of Georgia, squatters are going to be defined as people who have illegally moved into a property that does not belong to them. They do not have a right to ownership or possession.
Mm.
That has absolutely nothing to do with family law.
Oh, okay. Which is
And,
why.
and, and I think that one of you may have said at the beginning that there was no document that called anyone a squatter.
Right.
Okay, so that means that what's happened is that social media, internet has just went wild with the racists. They've decided that they're going to make or try to make a situation that it looks like all parties involved are working really hard to keep peaceful.
You
But the
think
internet
so?
would the internet will be
I'm trying to
undefeated.
understand. I'm like,
Ain't nothing peaceful about telling somebody that they ain't paying the pest control bill, child, and the ADT. That
right.
don't sound peaceful to me. And then, so I'm glad you brought up the definition of squatter, because the thing is this: I worked on the wedding special, and I believe this was included in the episode. It could not have been, because Raindrops, as you know, we film for hours. You only get to see a truncated version of it. In their prenup, it was said, it is in the prenup that shall a separation divorce happens, that yes, Todd has to stay in the guest house. So
Mhm.
legally, he's not a squatter, because in the
Right.
prenup it does state that. My other legal question for you though, Judge Tyranny, is less about obviously Candy and Todd, because one thing that I love about your insight is really talking to my audience of women, and the men who really want to understand how to protect themselves when it comes to family law. So when you are married to somebody for more than 10 years, could your prenup be challenged?
A prenup or any legal document can be challenged at any time.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean that the challenge will prevail. And so when you're talking about a prenup or any other legal document, it's always going to look at the terms of the contract, if there was any duress or fraud involved,
Okay.
and if both parties were represented by legal counsel at the time, which means that they received legal consultation. And so it's going to be harder to challenge. Now, let's be clear. Sometimes you have contractual disputes all the time. That's exactly what a prenup is. It's a contractual dispute. And so there may be parts of the contract that are disputed where other parts are upheld. There
Okay.
may be times where you throw out the entire thing and a judge makes a decision. But again, you say that you actually saw a prenup before.
Mm-hmm.
The prenup is going to actually drive what happens in a separation.
Got it.
Once the challenge is decided, again, it could survive in parts or in whole. That is what will lead and dictate what happens in that dispute. And
Let me
I will tell you, I just want to say this, prenup is one of my favorite words. It's always on my bingo card.
always.
Always. You know what I mean? Like for me, it would be the center free card if it could be. In fact, like I actually married a couple yesterday. Yes, in my chambers, I marry people. In the state of Georgia, you have to be a judge or a preacher. Those are the only people authorized to marry people in the state of Georgia. I marry people all the time. And I always ask them, do you have a prenup? They
Right.
did not. Have you had a conversation about a prenup? We have not. I let them go into a private room and at least have a conversation about what would happen and get their thoughts and tell them that they really should consider getting with some legal advice, legal counsel, and discussing possibly a postnup. Because as I've said on this show over and over and over again, it is so much better to decide what the rules are before you get to a point where you want to separate.
Got it.
And at the beginning of your marriage is when you are going to be the fairest to each other. And that's really where you want to make the rules.
Let me
And
ask you a question regarding the allegations that she has reportedly made, because she's used these words in posts when speaking to the press. Even though she's amicable about it, she is saying and airing out some of her own frustrations about him uh, portraying himself online as daddy daycare. Um, but what do you do in instances where someone is living quote unquote rent free in property owned pre-marriage when they're going through a divorce? Like, is it a situation similar to when we were talking about and Portia and Simon, where, things, it's almost like it's gonna all come out in the wash? Is there, what happens to her? Does she calculate what happens to someone like her? Do you calculate, do they have the ability to just stop contributing while you're going through the divorce?
okay, so again, if you have a prenuptial agreement, a prenup usually is going to outline a lot of these rules. If there are disputes, you're going to take them to the court. But I think it's very, very important for raindrops to understand that there is a difference in ownership and possession. So
Oh.
even though a partner may not have ownership because it's deemed premarital property, once you become married, we're going to have equal possession as a part of the marital home during the marriage. Again, when you have a prenup, the prenup is going to generally give some guidelines. No contract can be perfect, but it can give you some guidelines of, hey, this is what we're going to do should this happen. And so I think that you also have to realize that if there is a dispute, even with understanding something that has been outlined in a prenup, a judge can always enter a temporary order. A temporary order where the judge could name who gets temporary possession, what comes with those responsibilities of temporary possession,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
so on and so forth.
That's good. And then does the new variables, because at the time they didn't have children. They didn't have those two children. And so he's not going to be, or a person married, now there are children. There weren't children pre-marriage. Now there are two children. And even though he's outside of the main house and in a guest house, uh, that was that's mind-blowing to know that he's in possession of that home. That's his home, and he doesn't want to, may not want to disrupt the flow of the family, even though they're separating. He's not going to leave the premises because then that would be disruptive to the family. Because he's contesting that he has moved out. He got kicked out. There had to be some type of agreement in him doing things that were less disruptive for the family. Um, by still living on the grounds. It's a huge house, and the guest house is equally as huge. So how does it? What is kind of like a time frame that we're dealing with here in terms of
So
a divorce being finalized and him being off the property, if that's what she's desiring?
the most honest answer is it depends because you're dealing with so many factors. One, when you have an uncontested divorce, of course it moves a lot faster. When you have a prenup involved, it moves a lot faster. But if you start challenging a prenup, if you have a contested divorce, that's going to slow the process down. And then when you're living in a county so large as Fulton County, you're going to have a docket or a judge. Family court has two or three judges in Fulton County, and they have heavy loads. And so things are not going to move through the system as fast as you may see somewhere in another jurisdiction. So it just really depends. There are certain things that are going to happen legally. You know, there are processes that have to be followed. You have to file, person has to be served, you have to respond within 30 days. So there are some timetables that will keep it moving, but you also have to be able to get different motions on a calendar before you get to a final divorce. And then you mentioned the children. There are 4 children. There are 2 minor children.
Mm.
And so those are going to be the children that actually still live and will have parenting or parental agreements as a part of the divorce. In the state of Georgia, there's mandatory family counseling when children are minors. Those are things that have to happen before you can get a final divorce. So all of these things are going to go into the timetable.
Got
Question
it.
for you. You are the queen of prenups.
You need merch that
What
says
is the key?
which, yes. Which, by the way, I'll call you later. No, the thing is that
I can marry you too.
well, let me ask you this. This is no shade. Is it a lot of people know in California, if you are a person of means and you get married in the state of California, we know off rip prenup, yes, but you damn near gonna have to sign over 50-50. That's just the especially if you don't have a prenup. It's a
we're
50-50
common law.
state.
We're
It's
a common law state
yes,
too. So you have to be
yes.
married. If I've lived
Now
with
in
you years plus, yeah.
yeah, so California, we know that if you get married in California with no prenup, baby, you're signing over 50% of your earnings. Now, with that being said, in Georgia, if you do not sign a prenup in the state of Georgia, what is sort of the default that a person is owed if they're married for more than like 3 years?
Well, again, in the state of Georgia, we do not have some kind of statute that is going to hinge on number of years. But a judge is going to consider everything when they're doing an equitable division of property. They're going to look at things that are premarital property. That means that you owned it before the marriage. They're going to then look at things that are marital property. Anything that happens during the marriage is considered marital property. That also includes your income. So if we use income towards things that are premarital, then I may have some kind of stake in that. But a judge is actually going to look at all of those things. And there, Georgia does not have we are not an at fault state. The only thing that alimony is going to be considered in terms of adultery is that you may be allowed some temporary alimony based on that. But that's not even guaranteed because alimony also looks at your ability to provide for yourself. The state of Georgia is going to always look at both parties when
Mm,
it comes to providing for yourself, when it comes to providing for the children. Again, I told you we have a child support worksheet spreadsheet where you put all of the expenses of the family, which is why you may see so many things listed out that you think is petty, but the court requires that. They require to know all of the expenses that it takes to run a household because they divide the expenses up based on the income of both parties. So
I
you have to list everything.
I have a
mhm.
question because you touched on something, and I know this is a tricky question for Georgia, but you talked about adultery. Uh, the
Ooh,
case we're
speak on
talking
it,
about,
talk about it, child, because we know
I want to do
in
it delicately,
Atlanta, in
but
Atlanta, the city of swingers. Go ahead, Courtney,
city of
child.
swingers, city of open marriages, city of poly, polyamory. Um,
City
Ooh,
of Christians, city of good girls. Y'all are
hey,
not
hey,
gonna do
hey,
my
hey,
city
no.
like that.
But in a,
Okay,
we've
that's
had
what
those
we're
discussions.
not going to do.
Listen, So in a case like this, in a case where there has been very, very public conversations about the openness of marriage, could the lines be blurred with adultery when you're known for having a third, a girlfriend?
You sound so y'all don't know Courtney. Listen, in case y'all haven't noticed by now, Courtney is a dignified Christian woman, honey. Her mama raised her to be a debutante child. So Courtney doesn't curse child unless she's provoked. So here she goes, Just Tyranny. In case they just want to have a third. She's talking about threesomes. Go ahead, Courtney child.
It's been alleged and known that they have a shared girlfriend.
No, no,
Um,
no, 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 no. I mean,
Know anything about that?
yes, no, 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 no. I'm gonna help y'all, Courtney. I mean, yes, people have said this person is their third, but in their defense, they're open about having
open,
threesomes.
they're
Yeah,
open about threesomes,
yeah.
and there is allegedly a girlfriend. Would that be considered adultery when they're both participating, willingly participating in it?
Well, I think that each person, each couple gets to define their own relationship and gets
Yep.
to actually define what those things mean to them.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to go back to if you have a prenup agreement, like even though in the state of Georgia, adultery is not, we're not an at fault state. So adultery is not going to be used for anything except possible alimony. But with a prenup, there may be something in there in a clause that deals with adultery. It may define what adultery is. Again, I think that
If he gives you the
everyone,
adultery card and he's saying, because it's very clear, Candy is the breadwinner, she has the most money and the most things at stake here. So if anybody's going to be looking for anybody to take care of them, it's going to be him looking for her to take care of him. And the writing is all on the wall, which is why he's not paying any of the bills now. Um,
Allegedly.
allegedly. And it's very frustrating when you're the woman and you've worked your entire life, and we saw this play out on their wedding special, and she's been making it very clear she's been smart about how she handles her business, how she handles her finances, and how she's handled and taken care of her family. So now that they're on year 14, regardless of what has happened and transpired, regardless of, it feels like he would be the one coming in and saying, regardless of us agreeing to this open relationship, I need to maintain the lifestyle that you have made cushy for me. And I want to do it with our potential girlfriend. Who gets what?
and again, when a prenup is in place, the prenup is going to drive what are the rules.
Okay.
A judge, again, has to interpret that when it comes to disputes. But I am just going to say that the one thing that we haven't talked about that a prenup cannot cover is child support. A
Oh,
prenup does not and cannot cover child support.
tell us
So
why.
all of the issues, because child support is for the children. The parents are beneficiaries. So I cannot negotiate away something that is for the child.
Mm.
So
Okay.
child support is never going to be in the state of Georgia part of any prenuptial agreement because you cannot do it that way. Child
Mm.
support belongs to the child. Whoever has primary custody, well, who is awarded primary custody, is going to be the person that receives those monies on behalf of the children.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's
So
why right, go, go, go,
no,
go,
no,
go.
no, no, no. You go, you go, you go.
That's why he's fighting for custody, primary custody,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Well, I don't know what
No, 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 no,
anyone
no, no,
is doing
no.
over
No, no, no. I'm
there
asking.
doing
I'm
it.
asking. No, no, Courtney, I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. So, Judge Tierney, the reason that someone would ask for primary custody in a divorce is because whoever has primary custody of the kids, that person more than likely is awarded more compensation.
Did your
It
hood
has
make
been my
it worse?
experience that when parents ask for primary custody, is because it is in the best interest of the children. And they are interested. Courtney, I saw the eye roll. Okay, so, and I just want to say, Courtney is a raindrop for today because she is so pissed at me. She is gonna be in the comments with the raindrops going
Right.
off.
Hey, girl, stop it. We
No,
know.
okay, no. You broke it down. The intentionality more than is all
Yes,
yes.
primary custody. I have primary custody of my children. Well, I did. They're a legal age now.
Yeah.
But primary custody is really about who is the primary caregiver and what is in the best interest of the children.
True.
Now,
Now, okay.
what comes with that, of course, is going to be child support. And you have to support the children based on their expenses and needs, which is again why you see in the state of Georgia where people, the child support, you think like it looks like the media has picked out 10, 12 things. This list is extensive, the child support worksheet. I mean, it is an anal cavity search. You have to list everything that you can, because if you do not, you will not get credit or compensated in a way to put you in a position to make sure you can care for your children.
And
And
that's I'm
I
sorry.
think that's what we're missing. And again, I know that you all don't want to hear that and
We
everything.
do.
We
You
really
speak for you. You do. Courtney's birthday was yesterday and she is acting out.
Okay. Courtney has been messing today.
what I will say is when you're contesting it on behalf of a mother who we know holds her family down. Like I have met Candy. I have admired the kind of mother she is, despite the fact that she works like a freaking workhorse. So when anybody would even ask for custody of those children, my thoughts, and this is just my opinion, Judge Tyranny and Carlos don't have to, they know Candy personally and call her friend. What I would say is, I would think as a raindrop and a fan on the outside looking in, his motivation for asking for full custody is money motivated, not necessarily in the best interest of the children. Because Candy is a phenomenal mother, provider, and all of that. So
No,
my thoughts
she's a great
and
mother.
opinions are it is money motivated. Otherwise, you can, yeah, no.
And the courts are always going to look at that's the standard. What's in the best interest of the children? What has been their general schedule? What can we do to be the most less disruptive in their lives to make sure and these children, especially when children are young. But the courts are not in the punitive penalizing business. Courts do not penalize working moms.
Okay,
So
good.
yes, again, I'm a working mom. You're a working mom. There are a lot. I mean, most mothers who have primary custody are going to be working moms. They're not going to be penalized for being a working mom. That is a part of something that has always existed during our children's lives.
So are
But
the
the
dads
standard is
awarded?
always going to be what is in the best interest of the children. And I, again, push back on what you may know or think you know publicly, because very few people know what happens in people's private lives.
So
And
Oh,
are
people
fact.
are quick
fathers?
to make judgment on what they have seen on the internet. And I give this thing, I've said this to you all before, I'll say it again. These people deserve some sense of privacy to an extent. I understand because their relationship blossomed on television. They got married on television. Candy is a very transparent person. She discusses everything openly. Her private life, her personal life, her professional life. And then so it makes people feel like they have this inherent right where they can make presumptions about things that they may or may not know. But I am going to remind everyone that that is why you have to let the process and the legal system and the courts work the process, because the court is not going to be involved in all of the salaciousness of it.
Let me ask this question, and I know we got to wrap it up, but you said working moms are not penalized. Are non-working fathers rewarded?
In the state of Georgia, Courtney, there's a child support worksheet that is going to put the income of the mother and the income of the father. We talked about this the
No,
last
I
time.
know,
No, no,
but that's
no.
not
I
my
want you to
question. No,
hear
no,
this.
no, because
No, no,
this is my
no. Let me
question.
just
No,
say this.
let me
No,
reiterate my
even
question
if
now.
you,
No, because it's not about money. Not that's not what
no, no, no. I'm
talking about.
saying that if you are an able-bodied adult, male or female, and you have minor children, income will be imputed to you.
Right, but I'm not talking about the income. I'm talking about custody. So if he doesn't work and she works, can he use the fact that she works a lot and he is not working to get full custody? It's not about the money of it all. It's about the if I've got to work and I've got to travel and I've got to get on the road and I've got to do X, Y, and Z, but I am a caregiver or a daddy daycare and I have more time because I don't work in all these jobs that require me to travel and to tour and to do all these things. Would that be considered a plus or a benefit for him?
Anytime you're talking about custody, the standard is going to be what's in the best interest of the children. There are going to be different facts that come into play. So when you give examples of people have to work or their travel or things like that, we live in modern society. People travel for work all of the time, but they also have resources to put things into place. They have family support, they have a plan. And if that has always been the plan for the children and the children are accustomed to that, then that's not disruptive.
Okay.
Again, the courts are not interested in disrupting children's lives. They are interested in making sure that they can keep their lives as similar as they have known, to make sure that, again, we are looking at what is in the best interest of the children. Because adults make decisions
And
that
children still
affect
remember.
children, but children have to live with those decisions. And so when the courts get involved, the court is always going to use that standard. Now, you may not agree that this is in the best interest of the children, but each side gets to put forth their facts. They get to tell their story. They get to put forth their evidence of why they believe this environment would be the best in the best interest of the children.
I know we got to wrap things up. I do have a question for you because Sherry Shepherd, and
Yep.
this is documented. As we're talking about child support, alimony, all those things. Um, Judge Tierney, you may or may not know this, but back in 2014, she was married to a man named Lamar Sal. I'm sorry. Back in 2014, her now ex-husband Lamar Sally, she had to pay him 4,100 per month in child support for her son born via surrogacy, with
Claims
payments.
it's not her son.
Yeah, so just so is this news to you, Tierney? Okay.
Yes, I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Okay. So Sherry Shepherd was married to this man named Lamar. Um, she used according to Rice, she used someone else's egg to implant in his sperm. And another woman's egg, his sperm was inserted.
Yeah.
I describe it
It's
in a
used in
surrogate
vitro,
in
right?
vitro. Thank you. Be a surrogacy.
Surrogate.
So So DNA, no, this is not her son, DNA wise. The courts saw,
Legally, that is her son. They were married. They decided to have a child.
yeah, yeah.
The
So,
mom, allegedly, the mom changed her mind and wanted to keep the baby, but Sherry is on the hook for it.
so my question to you is this, because listen, a lot of my listeners are well-to-do women who are the breadwinners, and they have found themselves in these situations, and that's why I do call Judge Tierney the queen of prenups because she is very adamant about
Queen of
protecting yourself.
prenups, queen of contracts.
Contracts, exactly. So,
Just
what
Contracts,
believe in knowing what the rules are.
right.
what can women do, no matter what state they live in, to protect themselves from these situations? Because a lot of them did say, look, we watched the wedding special with Kenny and Todd as an example. She got the prenup, she did everything right. He is represented by Randy Kessler, who is a friend of mine, Judge.
You're
Hey,
a devil's
Randy.
advocate right now.
Yeah, no, I
You're playing
love
both
Randy.
sides.
Randy's cool. So,
Is he negotiating a prenup for you?
no.
Need her to do that, Carlos. We
I'm
both
about
need
you.
her to do that.
No. So the thing is, look, one thing that Todd did say was, he alleged via documents that he was under duress, lacked legal counsel, and signed it just before his wedding. So again, it's all of these things that I think a lot of women don't even think about that may come up, like you said, years later during divorce. Is there something women can do extra besides just a prenup to protect themselves?
They can have the hard conversations.
Mhm.
Culturally, we talk about this. And, when you talk about, people are very comfortable talking about how they want to raise their children, their religious beliefs and differences, where they want their children to go to school, things like that, where they want to live. But for some reason, people are very uncomfortable having conversations about finances. And so a prenup is just a contract that is going to be drawn up by lawyers. But the essence of the prenup should be between the two people. What is it of our understanding? And you cannot get there without conversing with one another in an honest, loving fashion, not one where we have this negative connotation attached to it so often. And you have to remember that marriage started off as the transfer of property. It has always been about the transfer of property. So we have to have these conversations where we are talking about how we protect ourselves up front. And people love saying to me, well, I don't really have anything. That's not what this is about. This conversation is, how do we separate in a way that is going to be respectful and dignified to both of us? We have an understanding of how whatever we have, including responsibilities, nobody wants your dog. And I'm like, we're talking about, so you just put the dog in the frame. What
Property
is
Now
going
he
information.
on
heard the
with you and
conversation and he's
Courtney
like, what
today?
happened?
What is going on? I feel attacked.
Carlos is like, and I get my babies and my child support.
Put it in writing,
Carlos is
Carlos.
the breadwinner.
Put it in writing. But in all seriousness, just don't be afraid of that they shouldn't be hard conversations. They may start off hard, but the more you talk about it, the more comfortable you get of really deciding, hey, what are going to be the rules? Something as simple as, if we break up and we have children, do we want to cohabitate until we can figure out how to distribute our property equitable?
Right.
Or am I going to have temporary custody of maybe a business? People, a lot of partners have
Right.
business interests together.
Yeah.
You get to make the business decisions until the divorce is finalized. Like, it's very, very just
That's smart.
common things that people don't talk about. So, and I would say that even if you cannot or do not feel comfortable going to get legal counsel, even though I advise it always, 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 you can always sit down and write it out between the two of you just to have an understanding. It shows intent. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be a legal document that's going to be upheld in court. You really need to memorialize it with a lawyer. But again, it helps you guys organize your thoughts.
Got it.
Courtney?
Listen, I
My
think
friend, so you're gonna make sure I'm straight legally, prenup wise, postnup wise, in the middle wise.
That
So
is a great keynote. Even if you're already married, you can get a postnup.
postnup.
You can
but I
now
think
say, yes, you can go
yes,
get each a lawyer and you guys can get together and you can sit down and you can decide the rules after the marriage. It is considered a postnup and you can make that legal. But please, 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 whatever you do, at least have the conversation.
I was gonna say that I think the biggest thing to walk away from this raindrops is look, is having the conversation because I'm pretty sure it's way more difficult for anybody to have it after you've been married for so
Right.
long and to say, hey, I came
It is
into
not. It is not. Don't listen to
no,
Carlos.
no, 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 no. I'm giving them a no, 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 no. I'm being real with them. No, no, no. I'm not
You can
saying don't
have
do
this
it.
conversation at any
Right.
time over dinner, even if you're married, over
No, no,
wine,
no.
if that's your thing.
I'm not saying don't do it, but I am acknowledging for my raindrops. It's not the easiest to have. I
But
believe, in my opinion, it's easier before you say I do versus after you do. I think the conversation's easy. That's all I was saying. I think it's easier to do it before. So what I was saying was, I know it may not. I know it may be more difficult to want to do it, but
right.
like
But
Judge
do it.
Tierney said, it's best to do it. And it's funny because on one of my shows, this is a topic of conversation that we're following. And everything that you are saying, Judge, is true. It's a very difficult conversation. And listen, one of my shows is having it, and it's not good. It's not
Oh,
good.
I hate to
Bring
hear
her
that.
on. Bring her on, Carl.
I
So
actually will. I will bring her on the
walk them
moment that particular episode airs so that we can talk
But
about it
I
because
do believe that it doesn't have to be. If
but
we
you
could get,
acknowledge though, listen, Judge,
I
not
do.
everyone's like you, child. You know, you are you embrace tough conversations. Obviously, it's your job, right?
Right,
It's your
right.
job.
think that it's framing. We have convinced ourselves that it should be a tough conversation, and it shouldn't be.
So what should
That
we
is
do?
what
What
I
should we
am
do?
saying.
How should we handle? What should we do?
We should sit down the same way we sit down and do wills. Like, things have to be sorted out when it comes to your affairs. No, you don't ever want to think about your mother dying or something happened to you. But if something happens to you and you don't know what's going to happen to your children, or, they're fighting the state for what's rightfully theirs, or who is going to be over your estate, it's just not worth it. Like, we need to, as a community, really get comfortable with having conversations that are not hard, but that make sense.
Right.
And then we can go get legal advice based on what we have decided together as a family, as a husband and wife, as a mother and daughter, as a brother and son, me, brother and father. Again, that's why I'm
Make
like,
it
it's
more than
not
what it
that.
is. Right.
Don't make
Make
it
it
more than what it is. The same way when you go buy a house, there are things you have to do when you go through underwriting. You have to present these things. Nobody enjoys it, but nobody also takes offense to it. Why are we so offended about if this doesn't work out? I just want to make sure that we both can leave this with some kind of dignity and we have not wasted our life savings fighting over it.
Got it.
Mm. I
Yeah,
received that. That was good.
that was good.
So
Sorry, thank you.
raindrops,
Oh,
let
and
us
thank
know
you. Oh my God, thank you. You got Courtney to give me a compliment today.
what she say.
Yes, that was good. It was the first thing good or positive she said about me today.
Oh, shade. No, that
I
was
Look, listen, I can buck back against the system because I know the raindrops have the same kind of, they approach our episodes with the same kind of arrogance, the same kind of ignorance, and that's not a negative thing.
Right.
But they walk away like me with the same kind of understanding
And
because
that is our goal.
that is our goal. Like, I want to really ask the questions. I want to ask the dumb questions or what are could be perceived as the dumb questions. I want to not be the smart girl in the room sometimes because I don't know everything. I
You
don't know
want to roll
everything.
your eyes at me today.
I want to, well, because I was like, no. I want to be on a side, right? Like everybody approaches these things with a side. We're either always going to be team such and such or team such and such. I
And
just
I am team process, team law,
You
team
are a team
education.
fact. I
Yes.
sometimes am team shade. And in this episode, I'm team candy. I have to make it very clear. The lines in the sand for me have to be very clear because the raindrops will assume I'm Team Simon when I'm not. In this episode, as a fan of these people, you're right. I don't know them personally. I always have to be mindful of their children, but also just in the understanding of process. I'm typically in this and I learned some stuff. I take away and I learn some stuff about how I'm approaching relationships, how I'm approaching the protection of my assets. And being uncomfortable, having the uncomfortable conversations until they become comfortable is was golden. That was tea
Yeah.
for me.
No, this was
Yes.
good. This was
Yes.
good. This was good. No, I really
Because
think this
I
was,
love security is one of my other favorite words. I
Yeah.
love talking about things that secure me.
yeah. And no, and my raindrops also, this was a very informative episode for them. So raindrops, let us know in the comments y'all thoughts on it. Have y'all had the conversation with your significant other about these about postnup prenup? Um, be honest with us. Are you afraid to have those conversations? Be real with us because we want to be able to help you. And trust me, this won't be the last time we talk about this very heated topic because it was so heated. Y'all had Tierney and Courtney go at it, child. And I'm such a producer, like, but listen,
But we're not really going at it, raindrops. Don't
no,
get carried
no,
away. Because
no,
that's my
they know.
girl for life.
Yes, no, they are friends for life. But again, it's a very healthy discussion and topic of conversation. Tyranny, Courtney, another great episode. Thank y'all so much. Rain Josh, please let us know in the comments what you think.
Happy
And
birthday, Courtney.
happy birthday, Courtney, Aquarius season.
Thank you.
I love you guys.
Thank you.